All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to those Millennial Pediatricians. If you guys are new here, I'm Dr. Deshna,
And I'm Dr. Niksha.
and we are two pediatricians who started this podcast to give parents the most up-to-date, evidence-based info and occasionally bring along expert guests as well. So for this episode, we have two very special guests. We have Danielle and Jen from the Pediatric Dietitians. Thank you so much for coming on. We get so many questions at so many of our well child visits about everything nutrition related because I feel like parents focus on this the most, especially when kids are so young. So I'm so excited to have you guys on. I think it's been a long
We're
time.
excited to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you for
I
having
think this is an awesome collaboration because, like exactly what you said, I think most of the nutrition questions get fielded to you guys first in the pediatrician office before they get sent to us. And I think sometimes you guys would be able to answer a lot of them instead of filling up our referral basket, you know?
Do you guys, both of you, mind just introducing yourselves? And then what made you want to be a dietitian and what do you love the most about your job?
So I'm Jen. I've been a dietitian for about 10 years. Currently working at UCLA, inpatient in the hospital setting. And I got into nutrition just because I loved science and I also loved food. So I was like, that's a pretty good combination of things.
For sure.
I took a couple
It's a great
classes
combination
and-
of things.
Yeah, totally. Like food is where it's at. So yeah, I think just after taking a few classes, I was just super into it, and there's so much you can do with it, which is great.
Yeah. I'm Danielle. I've been a dietitian for 1 year longer than you, so I guess 11 years. And I got into this actually, it's kind of a long story. Long story short, I did some volunteer trips to Guatemala when I was a young teenager and in high school and wasn't sure what I'm doing after high school, and worked at a children's home with a bunch of church groups and was like, I want to do something more here than just what everybody's doing, just like manual labor, building stuff. Like I want to bring a skill that's really needed. And I worked at children's homes, so there's a bunch of kids with a lot of malnutrition that I saw, and like really poor communities that really needed health help and education and information, like with stuff that they could actually work with, you know, instead of here's something that you need, but good luck, you guys will never have this, you know, you have to come to our country to have this. But like they already have the tools and resources, they just needed to know how to use it and implement it. So that's why I decided to be a pediatric dietitian, also because medical school was too long. So props to you
Super
guys.
long, yeah.
Because I considered that, but was like, I really hate school. So I don't think I'll last.
That's valid.
And
That's so valid.
so yeah, that's where it started. And I still do some work in Guatemala with my first passion. But yeah, and then I love kids. I was a nanny through college and grew up with 5 million siblings. So yeah.
So this is like a little fun icebreaker that Aniksha came up with. What was your weirdest favorite food as a kid?
I was thinking about this on the drive here, and I'm a millennial, right? Like you guys. So
I love it. I love where this is going already.
we grew up. Do you remember that ketchup that had colors? It was like purple, and I think that probably made me want to be a dietitian, where I was like, I love this so much, but it's so bad.
A colorful ketchup? No.
Yeah, wait, you guys didn't have, I know
didn't
exactly
know.
what you're talking about. It was like blue and
No.
it came in this like squeeze bottle.
No, that
No.
sounds awesome and super fun.
I know what you're talking about. I
Yeah.
love that ketchup.
All the dyes and all the bad stuff
That's
in
great.
there, but yeah.
Yeah, similarly, I was fixated on mint chocolate chip ice cream that was green. It had to be green.
Yeah.
If it tasted the same, but it was not that color, I was like, it's not as good. I'm not eating that.
Why is it so green?
Right. And of course, it was like a brand that was using an artificial dye, like not like today where everybody knows more and there's more options, but especially in a family where there was 6 kids, nobody was buying that the better stuff. So yeah, I loved my green ice cream that I got once a week.
That's amazing. On the ketchup lines, it's not the colorful ketchup, but ketchup is like one of my favorite condiments. And to the point where my fiance for my 30th birthday made me coasters because he's a designer, and the coasters were designed around like the Heinz logo and everything because I just
Yes.
put ketchup on a lot of things, and I won't go through the list because it's a little gross, honestly. But when I grew up in New York City, there was like this dumpling cart around the corner, and I had to eat those dumplings with ketchup. Like I wouldn't eat them with soy sauce. I always had to have it with ketchup. And if there wasn't ketchup in the house, I could not have those dumplings. And so my parents were like, "This kid is insane. Like we just need like a tub of ketchup." But
This
that was
sounds
my,
like this sounds like a good amount of my patience.
Yeah.
Ketchup is still a thing for many kids,
Totally.
right? Especially like eggs and ketchup is what I hear a
Yeah.
lot of the time.
No, I was gonna say I still do that, eggs and ketchup. So okay, mine was peanut butter, banana, and honey.
Mm-hmm. I did that. Yep.
And my dad would pack me a bag of potato chips with it, so I would like crinkle them up and put them in my sandwich.
Put them on the sandwich.
That sounds great.
Sweet,
Sounds
salty, like
delicious. I would do that now.
I haven't had it in a while, so I'm like remembering it now. But honestly, best snack, best sandwich. Like
There's so
That
much
sounds
like
amazing.
nostalgia with food and like memories attached with tastes and such. So I feel like that's also part of why food and eating can be emotional too. It can be good and bad.
I think that's a great segue, right? Because food, for all of us, we're all foodies here, so that's important to know. But nutrition and food, like it holds a lot of memories, and it changes so much throughout your life, and it's just something that's so key in all of our lives. And I think that's something that comes up a lot with parents, like when they have a newborn baby, that's the first thing you got to think about, right? Like, how am I feeding this baby? What do I have to do? And so when you guys have referrals, or when you have parents asking you, when should I be thinking about nutrition? Like, how early should I start thinking about that? What's a good foundation for nutrition? What is your approach to that question? What are the things that you usually try to think about or talk about? Which I know is like a big, vague question, but
Yeah. No, I mean, it starts before day one. Like, I feel like, we've talked about this before. Like, parents should be thinking about this before the baby even comes. Like, you kind of have to
For
be
your parents.
you gotta be on the same page too with your
Yeah.
spouse, like as far as like what your goals are for
Yeah.
nutrition. If you're like the I don't care about the processed foods, or I'm all into processed
Right.
foods. Like I think it's just a good foundation to talk about even before you guys have kids.
Mostly because once there's kids in the picture, life only gets harder, right?
You're
Like,
only more
it's-
tired.
so we've
do
heard.
not put it off. If you're like, oh, we'll deal with that when the kids are 5 or
Yeah.
6 or 10 or whatever, it doesn't get easier. Like,
Definitely.
you're only more stressed and more sleep deprived and multitasking more. So, like, the other thing about this is like the parents are always setting the example, whether you want to or not. Kids always will copy. That's why if you're trying to instill some healthy habit or value in your children, but they don't see you living that out, it will only go so far. It's not going to really set in unless they see you practicing that yourself. And the easiest way to do that is before you have kids, because you're going to have way more on your plate when you have kids. So like if you are planning to have a family and you have the luxury of the planning part of it versus then like this is something I would talk about with your partner now, because these are things to work on together. Like just envisioning, how are my kids going to be eating when they're 5 and when they're 10 and when they're 16? Do I want them eating like this or like this? It starts now. And so for the parents that already have kids though, who are listening to this, there's no right or wrong time to start today. Like you don't have to wait till the end of the school year. You don't have to wait until summer. You don't have to wait until break. Just start now. Don't come up with reasons of why it's inconvenient. It's always going to be inconvenient to make changes in the household. It's not going to get easier.
Totally. Yeah, and I think it's just like so important to, like that family meal time too, of just like instilling those good behaviors of like, even if your kid is only eating like baby foods or like baby-led weaning in the beginning, like still sitting down and having like meals as a family is like, so important.
Yeah, I agree. That helps, because a lot of families with their infants don't think of that, because the way that the infant is eating doesn't look like how a grown-up or grown child is eating yet. And so they accidentally almost separate the two, and they're like just feeding the child in the high chair facing the parent, and the parent's not eating. And sometimes there's a tablet or TV on and the parent is just feeding, and you just have, like, as a baby, as a 6 or 8 month old, you're just sitting there with this grown up staring at you eat, and then everybody wonders why they're not eating a variety of things and eating independently. And I'm like, well, this is a not normal way to eat. We should think about family meals from the get-go, even before the baby's eating, like having them on your lap or in a chair, like being part of it, like, oh, this is what we do. Got it. This is normal. And so it's never something you have to like shift and work on later.
That makes sense. If I want my kid to follow a certain lifestyle, I need to implement it for myself first so that it's easier for me when I have a child. When I'm doing these things, they're modeling exactly that.
Be telling your kid, like, you can't have this, but I'm sitting in the corner eating ice cream. Like, it's not fair for the kid either to not see or to feel different or to feel like singled out, like they can't eat it, but mom can.
And then often I hear, like, especially in today's society, for women, for moms, most of them are not eating like a real breakfast or lunch. Like most moms are eating like their toddler's leftovers or like a bar or like a little yogurt or something. And then they're coming to me with their picky eater who's underweight, who's not eating a real meal, sit down with a family. I'm like, yeah, but mom, you're not either. So like if you want your 5-year-old to sit down and have a real meal for breakfast and lunch and dinner, you have to work on that too. And you guys should do it together now.
I think that's a super important point. That's something I think about too a lot for me, because I am such an iPad kid for worse or for worse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, before I have kids, I really need to learn to sit at the table, eat like a normal human, so that I start modeling that for my kid like way before. Like you really have to put on your own oxygen mask before others, because it really does translate throughout all stages of life, whether you think it does or not. That's just super important.
Yeah, and then I hear, moms say, well, first I get the child's food ready and dad's food ready and they're eating, and I go back to the kitchen and then maybe I'm making myself dinner. First of all, everybody should be helping make dinner, especially the kids, in some aspect that's age appropriate, and you should all be eating at the same time. So if food is not ready for mom, nobody's sitting down to eat, because a lot of parents will say like, well, I don't have time to make myself a healthy meal. I'm focusing on the kids. Y'all should be eating the same thing anyways. Just make more of it all at once. Have the kids be helping in some aspect, whether it's setting the table or rinsing the lettuce or whatever. But family meals are one of the most fundamental and foundational aspects of healthy eating habits in kids. So just trying to focus on that above anything else, like everything we're about to talk about in terms of veggies and snacks and juice and all that, like this is number one. Don't even focus on the other stuff until you guys can really get a handle on this. And whether it starts at like just twice a week, start it twice a week. Put it on the calendar, make sure everybody understands that's what's happening twice a week, every single week, and then work up from there and see what's manageable. It might not be every single day. That's kind of unrealistic in today's world, right? But like just making it a priority is going to translate to so many things. Like the amount of kids that have picky eating issues that gets improved just by doing family meals is huge.
We also see a lot of overeating without family meals too. So all that TV time, I know, like iPads are great while you're eating, but think of like when you're watching a movie, like I could down like boxes of popcorn and not even think about it. But if you're like actually paying attention to what you're eating, like you're gonna be more mindful.
You see the effects go like on both ends of the spectrum when there's like an unhealthy eating environment, meaning we're not eating at the table as a family. So we see kids do both, like barely eat anything or eat way too much or eat too much of the bad stuff and not enough of the good stuff. So it just can affect kids in multiple ways. I mean, same with adults, right? But like, definitely.
But I think those are great points. It's never too early to start. It's never too
Mhm.
late to start.
Yeah.
And modeling is really everything. I think the other thing that parents ask a lot about with like foundation to nutrition is things like vitamins and minerals. So what is your general approach to that? What do you guys typically tell parents? Of course, this is like outside kids who have like documented deficiencies or have other chronic illnesses where you have to worry about very specific things. But in terms of your general visit, what do you guys like to tell
Yeah.
them or think about?
We definitely like want parents to encourage real food to get those vitamins and minerals. Like, you don't want to just avoid certain food groups and then say, oh, well, I'll just take a pill for it. Like,
Right.
you want to get it from food. But if there are foods that like a kid has to avoid, like a dairy allergy or, certain things like that, then, you can get supplements to make up those differences, or even
Right.
just finding foods that fit within their allergies that will provide those
Yeah.
minerals. But
So yeah, if you have a really picky eater and they don't eat any veggies, I would always say get a multivitamin. And I will call out one brand that most parents use and I don't love, and it's the Smarty Pants gummies, because they're marketed the best, and it has like, it's really not comprehensive. It's missing a lot, and there's much better options out there for multivitamin for a kid who's really missing a lot in their diet. Just compare the lists of vitamins and minerals. If one vitamin has like 10 things listed and the other has like 20, choose the one that has 20. You're going to have like more well-rounded, just like a basic way of looking at it, I guess. The other thing I like to point out is no multivitamin is going to have an adequate amount of calcium for kids who don't do any dairy in their diet. You might see like 50 or 100 milligrams, and that's like doesn't do anything. So if they can't have dairy in their diet, they don't like any type of milk or cheese or yogurt, then you would have to use like a calcium fortified non-dairy alternative. So I always tell families, like, look at the nutrition facts of your almond or coconut milk or whatever, and make sure the number for calcium is in the hundreds. So like 200, 300, 400, not 100 or less, and then you're good. And then besides that, I would say the other deficiencies we usually find from looking at a kid's full diet is iron. So the best source of iron is an animal food. So any type of red meat really is the most bioavailable, the most absorbable. And some kids really hate all meat, especially in the toddler years. They're like, this is such a weird texture. No matter how you make it, I'm not eating it. And so then that in combination with like drinking milk all day long can result in an iron deficiency. So finding a multivitamin with iron can be challenging, or just adding an iron supplement that's more gentle. And one that's more gentle is iron bisglycinate, if I'm saying that correctly, versus the ferrous sulfate is a little bit more of the constipating, upset tummy one. And then the last one I'll say is vitamin D, but it's not specific to kids. I would say everybody, usually even in LA, we get vitamin D levels like in the low 20s, and it should be like closer to 50 as much as possible. So I say, like, unless your kid's running around on the beach all the time here, then use a vitamin D at least in the winter, if not throughout the year.
Added sugar, maybe looking at like the
Yeah.
sugar content. Some of them just are, they put a ton of sugar in there.
Yeah.
but-
How many is in a serving size? Because some of them say like 4 gummies, and I'm like, that will be gone in 2 weeks. So good luck buying that every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then actually I've learned from pediatric dentists that they don't recommend gummy vitamins at all for kids because of how it adheres to the teeth, more so because of the vitamins combined with gummy. But obviously there are kids who will only eat the gummy vitamins. So I'm like, pick your battles. You have to, usually it comes down to the one that your kid will eat. And so I usually give families like 3 to 4 options, 3 to 4 brands to choose from that I recommend based on how like comprehensive they are. And then they're like, well, this is the only one he'll eat. So
They do make liquid
Yeah,
versions
for
too
sure.
kids that are very picky, like will not
Yeah.
chew or
Right.
chew any of those.
Exactly.
My mind takes me back to those Flintstone chewables, man. I really
Exactly.
love those Flintstone
They're
ones.
still around.
They are.
They're the OG. We just got them at UCLA.
Yeah.
actually.
I will say, like, one of the things I hear parents harping on these days is like the artificial colors in a lot of the multivitamins like Flintstones. Personally, I'm not a fan of artificial colors, but like the amount in that tiny Flintstones vitamin, I'm like, I don't think we should be concerned about that. More so like the entire bowl of Fruit Loops that your kid eats every single day. But the tiny vitamin, how much artificial coloring could possibly be in there?
It's like, look at the look at everything else first. Because, like you said, a tiny pill doesn't do anything.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Fred Flintstone looks super chalky. I don't think there's a lot of red whatever in there, It's like he's pretty much white.
They
But
don't even taste like anything. They just taste like
No.
chocolate.
So let's transition a little bit into eating with each age group. And again, this is such a broad topic. I feel like this alone could be a podcast episode in its own, but maybe we can quickly glean through each of the stages. So in the infant to toddler age, so, around 0 to 2 years of age for parents who are listening, what are the most important cornerstones you like to talk to with parents? When we start with introducing new things like multiple times, to like that phase when it feels like they suddenly are not wanting to eat much.
Yeah.
How do you approach this?
We definitely get this question a lot. There's so many babies that I see, at least in the hospital setting, that are kind of working on transitioning, starting solids, kind of working their way up. So, parents have options now. Like baby-led weaning has become very popular in the last few years. It's kind of just more of a way of just hitting more food groups and trying to introduce more foods
And textures.
and textures without limiting to, like, we used to start with fruits and then vegetables and then meats and proteins, and it was just
Like
kind of-
only purees and then chunky purees. Yeah.
exactly. So now it's kind of more like you actually get to eat real food, just like in a safe way, so
Yeah.
that you're not choking and gagging on.
So I think the focus really in that stage is exploration, trying all the stuff, like exposure to all the different foods, because this is the foundation. This is what will be the foundation of their eating habits, right? So like if they start off used to family meals at the table and like all the food groups on their plate, like a balanced meal, that's setting them up for success in the future. Yes, you can still have picky eating after that and like not a great eater after that, but this is the part that's in your control as a parent and part of, I believe, like the parent's responsibility, just like setting them up for that successful eating and healthy relationship with food, trying all the stuff. Don't think of like kid food ever. Like, oh, I'll just give them this cute cut up little whatever and chicken nuggets and french fries and whatever. Just like getting them used to family meals, all the stuff parents eat. Again, like as long as it's healthy, real food, mostly homemade food. You don't have to shy away from certain flavors, even spicy foods. I get that a lot. They can have spicy foods. A lot of little kids like spicy foods. I always tell this story of like my 9-month-old niece at the time took like this bowl of hot salsa at the Mexican restaurant we were eating at and like downed it. And then she did like, and then she took more. Like she just loved
amazing.
the pain of the spice. I'm like, yeah, I mean, if they like it, give it to them. There's no reason.
Physiologically harmful. It's just a sense, the receptors on your tongue are popping off, and for some people that's
Enjoyable.
it feels good. Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Not
honestly, that's my girl. I love her. Obsessed.
Some likes to eat the limes, like straight
Yeah.
like the lime
Mhm.
juice. So like different textures, different flavors. Like you never know what they're gonna like, so you have to really try a variety. And
Yeah.
see how they do. But I think like what you mentioned is so important too. Like if you set them up for failure by just saying, I'm only gonna give you chicken nuggets and French fries, like they're never gonna learn what other foods are, and they're gonna think that chicken is in the form of a nugget,
Right.
and it's not an actual, could be an actual healthy food. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you really have
You
to
guys bring
encourage it.
like such a good point, because even when you eat out, right? Like I feel like kids menus are such an American thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And And that kind of like guides the parents' decision making when they go out to eat. Like, oh, this is a kid's menu, so I'm going to order off of this kid's menu for my kid.
Yep.
Not
And
realizing they can probably just order off an adult menu and
right,
cut it up and
exactly.
whatever's safe. And like a kid's menu, French fries, chicken nuggets, like Jen, you said, that's usually the only option, or like cheese pizza. So
Yep.
not the best.
So it's like
option.
those beige foods, you know, the grilled
Yeah.
cheese, the chicken nuggets, the French fries. But like, there's no reason from the beginning that your kid can only have that. So like another example, I like to brag about my nieces, but another example would be like at 1 year old, she's eating a full Greek salad at a restaurant with me. Like the feta, the Kalamata olives, the red onion in there, just like, she doesn't know any different. She thinks that's normal, you know? And so at that age, kids are just whatever mom gives me, whatever dad gives me, that's what I think is normal, and that's what I think is food. So you can accidentally do them a disservice if you limit those options, especially if you as an adult only eat certain options. So that's something to reflect on too, because definitely there are adults today who are now parents who are picky eaters. And they're like, "Ooh, I would never eat that." I'm like, you haven't even tried it and you're 38. So think of that for your kid. Try not to project your own preferences and dislikes on your child. You still have to give them a chance. And they should also see you kind of challenged. I think that's fun for kids to be like, this is the first time mommy's trying this. I don't, you know, like just seeing that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and trying stuff too is super helpful for littles to see. I mean, no matter what age, honestly. But yeah, I mean, don't put your kid in a box and don't assume that they're not going to like something just because they didn't like something even last week. They might change their mind. So you have to really, your job as the parent in that stage is really to offer and to make the environment what it should be for good and healthy eating.
You triggered me while you said that, because I was like, I hate eggplant. I've never given my son eggplant, and I'm like, oh, I should probably try it like him.
There you go.
That's my homework.
I love it. So it seems like, you know, the take home is don't put your child in a box. You know, give them whatever you're having when it's a safe age to try all those solids.
For sure.
And exploring too, like we always talk about like eating the rainbow. Like you want to hit like a good variety of foods and colors.
Yeah.
That each have different benefits to them. So, you know, not just only giving them, we only eat red grapes and, you know, whatever.
Yeah, try all the stuff.
There's so many like cooler fruits and vegetables now than when we were kids. Like I specifically only remember eating red delicious apples as a kid, and they're terrible. Like they're not good. Now I'm feeding my son like Honey Crisp. I'm like,
Right.
you're living the dream. Like,
Yeah.
Honeycrisp.
Honeycrisp is the dream,
Honey Smith,
honestly.
like
Right.
the world's your oyster.
yeah, exactly.
I feel like that's a good segue into kind of the next age bracket, which is the toddlers and preschools, which is like 2 to 6-ish, like right before grade school. So I feel like the number one thing, you know, as they get older, kind of want to assert a little bit more of their independence in eating. This is, I feel like, when the picky eating and stuff comes around. So can you like touch on that? I feel like that's the biggest issue. Like, hey, I'm offering my kid, you know, these 3 things. They just seem to not want to touch it and gravitate towards the French fries or the pizza or whatever. How do you,
100%.
you know, how do you deal with?
Yeah, so a few things. Number one, I would say the biggest contributor I see to not wanting to eat the homemade meal, but wanting to eat everything else besides that is like, what is available in your house? So if you don't want them to be eating the goldfish, but you want them to eat the pasta you made, why did you buy goldfish? Just to be kind of blunt. Like, don't buy things that you are going to have to control and constantly say no to. In addition to that, those like all the packaged snacky foods, all the frozen foods that are like in this perfect shape, they steer a kid's taste buds and texture preferences more towards that. The more they have it, the more they want it. And it's also like an artificially enhanced flavor profile. Like, those chicken nuggets don't taste like just like the roasted chicken that we're going to cook. Okay. So like the texture is very even. The saltiness is on another level. And so it just shifts what they prefer. And so then they're going to have like a regular homemade meal and be like, not for me. I'd rather have this salty, delicious, you know? And so, and that's fine once in a while. It's just when they have access to it every single day. It's in their packed lunch for daycare every single day. And then it's available on the car ride home from daycare. And then it's available when they don't want to eat their dinner. And then we give them whatever, you know, because of that fear that a parent rightfully has. Well, they have to eat something, so I'll just give, you know, but then it perpetuates this vicious cycle. And so whenever we have picky eating, my first step is just get back to the basics. Family meals at the table, no TV, not tons of food from packages. And then to the next step is like getting the kids involved with the food. So taking it further, it's like, if you think about it from a little kid's perspective, a lot of the times food just appears before them on a table or the little kids' table in the living room in front of the TV, wherever they're eating. It just appears before them. And they're like, ew, what's that green tiny little speck that I found somehow without a microscope? And you're like, how did you even find that tiny piece of basil? Like, ew, I don't like that. You haven't even tried it. I know you're going to like it because you like X, Y, and Z and it tastes the same. Like, how many times have we heard this from parents, right? They have no connection to this meal. They didn't help in the grocery store. They didn't help in the kitchen. They weren't smelling it as it was being made. They weren't like having a part in making it and like having that like feeling of fulfillment. I helped make this. I'm proud. And like kind of subconsciously preparing them to eat it because they're around it while it's being made. And then they're even more disconnected because they're in front of a tablet or TV, or parents aren't eating with them, or their siblings aren't eating with them. It's like all wrong. And if just getting back to the basics, like again, maybe they don't have the attention span to be in the kitchen with you for an hour to cook the meal, and that's totally fine. But whatever they can do, you meet them where they're at. If they have that attention span for a 1 minute little age appropriate task of just taking the broccoli that you cut up and put it in the bowl. Yes, it's going to take like 10 times longer than if you did it yourself, but just giving them that task where they feel like, oh, I helped. And it may not result in what you want to see that moment, that day. But if you guys are consistent with it and you stick with it and you're patient, eventually you will see positive results and change.
The other thing I was going to add on to that is also just like avoiding putting pressure on them. So if you're at the dinner table, you guys are eating as a family, just enjoy the meal, talk about your day.
Yeah.
Talk about whatever their favorite color is, like whatever. But just avoid saying you have to take one more bite,
Yes.
things like that. Just like turn the kid off so much from like the process of the meal.
Because at that age, they love no. They love to say no. And if you're like, do this, and they're like, no.
Do the opposite.
Reverse psychology sometimes works.
Accurate.
Yeah, I feel like the forced feeding is super tough for parents too, because I feel like this is that time where we start to see that physiologic anorexia that we like to call it, where like after year of age, they're like doubling, tripling their weight, they're eating everything in sight, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'm not that hungry, no thanks. And all these parents are like, what is going on? This is terrible. It's like DEFCON 5 up in here. And I think that's really tough for parents too, because they just don't have their appetite center in their brain is just kind of calming down a little bit. They don't need as much for that time, even though they're starting to like run around. And then that's when picky eating starts too. So they're like, I don't even know if this is okay or not. So what do you tell parents for like red flags of picky eating? Like what are the things that we worry about when we see picky eating, and then like other things as well that we need to do more about?
Yeah, definitely. Like, if a kid is avoiding like a full food group, like if a kid is like completely like no meat, no proteins, no fish, nothing like that, that's a kind of a
not one vegetable, like often I will, and I'm sure you guys will have heard this, like my kid is such a picky eater, they don't eat any vegetables. And then you actually ask them and they're like, okay, well, they do eat cucumbers and they will eat baby carrots. I'm like, okay, then that's a win. Like take it. It's less concerning. But there for sure is, I feel like picky eating's on a spectrum of like, they have just a decreased variety, but they eat all the food groups. It's not as much as parents would like, but they get everything in there, just like they only eat the 2 fruits, right? Like they're not branching out. But then there's definitely kids that are more severe with like serious aversions. They won't touch any fruit or vegetable. It's like wet. They don't want to touch it. They won't eat any of it. They'll smell the food before they eat it and they're like, ew, no. And they won't even taste it. It could be with proteins, or it could be like they will only eat crunchy, crispy foods and nothing that's soft or mushy or anything that's not crispy. So like everything's air fried or coming from a package. So those are definitely the more concerning ones. When you have a child that still will eat something from every food group, but it's just a decreased variety, you guys can totally work through that. And just like with all the other things I mentioned, like getting them in the kitchen, having them watch you try something new that you've never tried before and it's scary to you, helps them to open up with trying new things as well. Bringing them to a farm during the summer, like a pick your own fruit type of farm or whatever, learning about how vegetables are grown can be helpful. Growing something on your own at your house, if you have that option, is helpful. But the kids who are avoiding an entire food group, not one food from that group ever, that's definitely an instance where I would recommend like getting a professional like ourselves involved to help work on that. And then maybe even a feeding therapist is going to be necessary to help work up to these steps, like getting past just smelling it or touching it and moving towards actually eating it because something more is going on.
I think also too, like just, like their stomachs are so small, like don't, so also just like helping them like learn those like hunger fullness cues of like, are you done? Is your tummy full? Like, we'll set them up for success in the future.
Yeah.
So let's paint a picture. You graduated elementary school. It's your first day at middle school. And now there's this like big shiny cafeteria. Sometimes my parents would give me like a few extra dollars and I would go like spend it on that really nice like M&M cookie that I never got to have at home. This is where kids just start to have more independence. It's not just about what's at home. It's about what's in other environments. So for kids who are like in grade school, middle school, starting to get into beyond, what do you think are the most important things to think about, and how do parents still kind of guide food choices with this newfound like independence?
I think, setting up the foundation, obviously going through up until then is great. Like, making sure they like it, have a good variety of foods and you're packing the foods that they like. Like I've been thinking like, it's not the time to send them to school with something like out of the box, like that they're just gonna throw in the trash. Like stick with the food that that they like and stuff. But
realistic expectations, I think, and focus on what you can control. So you will not control the fact that they're gonna trade snacks with their friends and the money that grandma gave them will be spent on something unhealthy that you're gonna hate, right? The Takis will be bought. So there's only so much you can do. I wouldn't focus on that negative. I would focus on what you can control, which is what they have available to them at home. So I like to do the 80-20 rule, which is like 80% of the time, eat as healthy as possible, even for myself. And like 20% of the time, do whatever. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy. And it's helpful to instill that value in kids as well. I think it's okay to let them enjoy stuff, and then you don't want to make them feel so bad about it that they then start hiding it from you. And like there's wrappers found in their backpack or under their bed and they're not going to tell you. So we can control what dinner is and make sure it's a well-balanced meal and it's homemade, and he's going to help with us in the kitchen because he's been doing that since he was 5, right? Great. Like I would explain that it's unhealthy and that's not something we should do all the time. But like the logic will only go so far until they're much older. So I think it's still important to educate and then leave it at that. So removing any of the guilt and stuff, especially even to you as a parent, don't feel so terrible that they're being normal kids Let them explore it. Let them make mistakes for themselves and figure out, oh, mom was right. Let them figure that out on their own. They'll see.
That's such a good point, because I remember distinctly in middle school, I was going through like a little Takis phase because all my friends were eating it. And I went to the student store with the money that my parents gave me to buy the snack. And once I finished, like, they have those like bigger, it's not like the huge bags, but it's
Right.
like this
Yeah.
slightly less. I ate through like 3/4 of that bag, which was insane. I had the most insane gastritis.
There you go.
It was to the level of, do I need to tell my parents, take me to the ED right now, because my GI system is not looking so great right now. But like, my body learned,
Yeah.
and I never touched a bag of Takis ever again.
Exactly.
So no, I have not. I just have an aversion. I gravitate towards other spicy foods now,
Yeah,
which is
for
fine.
sure.
So
Another thing I'll do is like I'll pull up the list of ingredients for certain foods. I'm like, what is this? Have you ever heard of this word in your life? Is it in your
Yeah.
guys' kitchen? And then they're like, ooh, that sounds nasty. Or like, there's good TikTok videos on what's really in certain foods, and the visual aspect really can speak to kids.
Like how
turns
much
people off.
sugar is in soda if you show them
Yeah.
teaspoons, tablespoons, like that.
I'm like,
could be,
did you know this much sugar was in vitamin water? And they're like, what? It sucks for people who don't know better, because vitamin and water, that sounds healthy, you know? It's like, that is so unfair to put 26 grams of sugar in one vitamin water. But vitamin water sounds like it would be a really healthy thing. And it's just not. And it's just like, we always say like, pretty much just drink water. I hear this all the time from parents, like, well, what other, for variety, like for flavor, don't you think they'll want some different flavor? I'm like, no, you do as the adult, and you're projecting that onto your kid. Like, just get them used to water with their meals and at all times.
I think the hard part is like all the marketing too. Like,
Yeah.
everything just says like healthy on it when you're like, it's not health food. It's like,
Yeah. And then this kind of societal pressure too about like trying all the new stuff. Then parents feel this pressure to have a different lunch and snack every single day packed in their lunch. I'm like, literally, if they ate PBJ every day for lunch, it's fine. It is really okay. They don't have to have variety in every meal and every snack every day.
The 80/20 rule. It's fine. It kind of all goes back to that, I feel like.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, as like you mentioned, right, like as they're growing up and getting older too, as they're getting into adulthood, that's super important to prevent like them swinging the other way into disordered eating, where it's this obsession with clean eating and over exercising and worrying about like skinny talk right now is like in full rampage. And that's something that's always, that like trend of feeling and being skinny and whatever is always going to come back around every few or so years. It happened when we were kids, and
Yeah.
it's happening again. And I feel like that's super important, of like understanding the balance. And so I love that 80/20 thing, because it's not just about eating healthy all the time. Like, there are fun foods and we should be able to enjoy them without it also just to our detriment affecting how we see foods and developing that like unhealthy behavior, which I'm sure you guys see a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's scary, all the stuff that's out there. I mean, like, parents really have to have like a good control over knowing what their kids are looking at, because there's a lot out there that's not
Online,
great for kids,
yeah.
especially young girls and tweens. I was gonna say, like, like, I feel like Atkins was like kind of our thing back in the day. My mom used to eat those Atkins bars.
Yeah.
It's just like, modeling again, like your parents are doing something and you're gonna probably do it. If your mom is talking badly about her body and saying, I'm so this, I'm so that, you're gonna pick up those habits. So.
I think that's a huge point that a lot of parents don't fully grasp or pay attention to. Just little comments about your own body. Like, you want them to have good self-esteem and appreciation for their own body. And that starts with how parents are talking about their own body. So even if you as a grown up, as a parent, are trying to get healthier, let's say you are trying to lose weight, I wouldn't talk about it just about weight loss. Yes, I feel like personally, I feel like it's fine to say I'm trying to lose weight, but also you have to expand on that. I'm trying to get healthier. I'm getting stronger. I'm taking care of me. I value my body. This is not just to achieve a number on the scale. It's all of these things. I want my bones to be strong. I want to be able to do whatever you guys need with like when you're older and I want to be running around with my grandkids. That's why I'm doing this. And so that way we need kids to understand that health is more than the number on the scale or the number on the nutrition facts for the calories. It's so much more. Like I always tell kids, you can see like thin, skinny people and they could be extremely sick inside. So the outside appearance does not say really much of anything about the inside of their body to a degree. And it's just so much more than those numbers. Like what we eat is way more than calories. It's nourishing your body. It's respecting your body. It's valuing your health. It's like an investment into your future self.
Retweet. I don't have a Twitter, but retweet.
Me either.
I think also like demonizing the food too, you know, like saying like this food is gonna make me fat.
Yeah.
Eat it. You know, like kids hear everything. Like, they're such little parrots, little sponges that they're just gonna like soak that in and then it's gonna come out at some point and they're gonna say, well, I can't have this.
Yeah, it all goes back to modeling, right? Like, I feel like when we look at the big picture at each age range, we're talking about modeling what you do, how you talk about yourself, how you approach food, and how it makes you feel. Like that is going to be directly passed on to your child.
Absolutely.
At that stage. So that seems to be the, laying the foundation for
Absolutely. Yeah.
Be a little
Love that.
self-aware.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel like just being a parent in general shines a light on your own stuff coming out in your parenting that you haven't dealt with yet as a grown-up. You have a chance to work on it now. It's not too late to improve yourself. And to be able to be transparent and honest about that with your kids too is great. If you've been saying comments in a negative way about your own body, and especially in front of your kids, talk about it. They already heard you say that stuff. Just be open about it and be like, you know what? I'm working on this. Like, I've just been realizing what I've been saying about my own body sucks and I want to change that. So I'm just being open about it. And I hope you guys like follow suit, And I think there's more power in being honest and transparent about your own flaws and how you're working on changing it than just acting like we have it all together. Like, admit it, because then they'll listen more to you, I think, when you admit your own flaws and mistakes.
Makes you more relatable.
For sure. Exactly.
Okay, so let's segue into lightning rounds. These are, for the most part, parent-fielded questions, and also some questions we get in our office on the regular, the day-to-day. So the first question, this is actually one that I got in real life. How can I get my child to eat more veggies? Or what are some tips and tricks you give to parents to get them to eat veggies?
Having it accessible is super important. So like having it cut up in the fridge at eye level, something that they can like quickly grab or leave it out on the table while you're cooking. Like having it just be available to them is so important. And like we mentioned a million times before, but like eating it with them and not just saying you're gonna eat the broccoli, but mommy's gonna have a cheeseburger tonight. So having
Flavor.
and also flavor too, like making it taste good. Like you don't just have to like boil everything. You can add salt, you can add butter, you can add spices, you can add a little ketchup on the side, whatever you want. Just make it taste good. Cheese.
A little bit of ranch, maybe.
For sure.
Yeah. So flavor it up. How about like, this is my own segue, but like blending it, or like adding it to sauces? Is that something?
I say do both. If you're going to do that to quickly get it in their diet, go right ahead. Like, I do have parents that are quite creative adding that to different types of sauces and soups, but you should still put a side of veggies visible on their plate. They don't have to eat it. You shouldn't say have 3 bites and then you can have dessert, but they have to get used to it just being there so that they are almost like subconsciously thinking of potentially trying it and tasting it. Put a small portion. For a kid who doesn't eat any, I would start with literally like 2 bite-sized pieces on their plate and then just leave it there and do it every single meal.
Even them like not throwing it on the ground is like a win. Like, if they could like acknowledge that it's on the plate or like touch it
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, especially for kids that are just zero veggies.
Yeah, I love that. Next question, seed oils. This is kind of a hot topic. It's on TikTok. There are lots of people that are sadly that are not qualified to give information on seed oils or even like dietary fads that are giving this on social media. But do I need to limit every single product with seed oil for my child?
You'd be able to eat. It's in everything. It's also in small quantities in certain things that are completely fine to be eating.
Yeah.
Knowledge.
Oh no, yeah, I agree. I agree.
Topic to talk about.
I do like the stuff. I think it's the quantity and the quality of the food that matters. So meaning, if you're gonna have like, you're going through the drive-through because it was just that type of day, I would be recommending to share that side of fries with everybody instead of everybody getting their own. So not only just because of the seed oils, but for multiple different reasons. So there's that. There's ways to limit it like that. And then the other thing is like the quality of the food. There's a huge difference between the French fries at a fast food place that are deep fried in vegetable oil that also has a bunch of preservatives in it, compared to like, I always say this, I know, but like the brand called Simple Mills, they have a lot of organic gluten-free products like crackers and bars and cookies. Almost every product they make has sunflower oil, which is technically a seed oil. And so somebody who's being very diligent and reading all the ingredients would probably not buy that. And that's off limits. There's a seed oil. Every other ingredient in that food is awesome. And it's like a minimally processed, healthier alternative to other things that are way worse and way more ultra processed. And so that's whenever you can improve and like upgrade, that's so much better versus just saying, nope, it's all or nothing. Like in today's world, I feel like you have to have some compromises, especially when life is super busy and especially when you have a kid that's extremely picky and you're gradually working on healthier changes. You can't just be like expecting them to eat all the perfect things, right? And then just also kind of demonizing kids take things kind of to the extreme. So if they're like, oh, my mom doesn't let me eat that, and then they're stuck at their friend's house for a sleepover and then they don't eat anything because they're like becoming obsessive about reading ingredients. We don't want them to be afraid. We want them to be like, oh, I know this isn't good for me, but it's like the one time a month, whatever, it's fine.
I think it's just become such like a hot button topic too. It just like exploded. I don't even know why or how, but
people love to have something to talk about.
Said too, it's like they're also talking about it without like the scientific background of knowing what a seed oil is. Like, they're not defining which oils are technically seed oils. They're just saying seed oils. That's like
does anyone even know? So when I'm talking about it, I always explain like what are seed oils, vegetable oils, corn oil, soybean, canola, all that. And yes, there are harmful things about them, but it's not just like no matter what, this will kill you. It's like, come on, right? Like we're still eating. Yeah.
People are demonizing it for sure.
Yeah.
And often in places I feel like where like, actual food deserts exist, that is often, it's not like
the only option.
Bread. You only have some options.
Yeah.
So like to say, oh, unless you're making this at home, unless you're making your at home, like everything in moderation and just read the labels like you said.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think
they're more like cost efficient.
Yes, exactly. So I think with just in general, my approach is always real food over anything. When feasible, when you have that option, homemade real food is always better than something ultra processed. And you'll find even dietitians who disagree with us and they're like, no, it's fine. Eat all the seed oils. It doesn't do anything. I disagree with that. But I also don't agree with dietitians who say literally don't eat any. It's poison. But I think what the science does support is in general, ultra processed foods are harmful to our health when consumed in excess. And most ultra processed foods have seed oils. It comes with the territory. So in general, just like if we're going to switch an ultra processed food to something that doesn't have seed oils, it's still processed food. You still should be limiting it regardless. So like
Deep fried and extra protein, all of
yeah,
it.
it's still French fries and it's still deep fried. So in general, I think it's helpful for everybody to be eating less out of packages and more from the kitchen.
Love it.
The next question that we get a lot is my kid constantly wants to snack. Is it okay to let them snack all the time, or what should I be doing instead?
Some like balanced snacks, so like having like a protein and a carb
Yes.
put together, so that is more filling. Like just snacking on goldfish, like you could eat a whole box of goldfish and not even notice it, and then an hour later when you're eating dinner, they're not going to eat, and you're going to be like, "Why aren't you eating?" So, being careful about timing too of the snacks,
For sure.
not stacking them, so that they're not honestly even hungry for that next meal.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I focus on, again, what's accessible, what's available, what did you buy and bring into the house? If this is an issue for your kid where they're constantly asking for snacks and grabbing snacks, but you bought them, you shouldn't buy them.
Time to cut it out. Yeah.
If you want them to be eating like the cucumbers and carrots and the fresh fruit, but there's plenty of goldfish and Cheez-Its and Z-bars, what do you think they're going to choose? Come on.
And if they're hungry, they will eat those, right? So
As long as it's a kid that's like not on the spectrum, not having severe aversions, that rule doesn't apply to them, or as long as they don't have like complex medical issues. But a typical kid who's not neurodivergent, yes,
yeah.
they will, maybe not that day. Yeah, you might have a few days or even a week of like some poor eating and not eating as much. But as long as your child's growing well, don't worry about it. If they didn't eat a perfect dinner and they didn't eat everything because they're whining that they don't have their goldfish around,
My son's is a bomba.
Oh, that's a good one though.
And now he knows where the bomba is, so he points to the cabinet. So it's a slippery slope, I gotta say. But also just watching portions too. So like, I don't let him sit down with an entire bag of bomba, but I will give him a small handful of bomba, tell him to go enjoy it and move on.
All done.
Yeah.
And I think
that works as adults too. I do the same
exactly.
thing. So
Never
it's
sit
like,
down with
I
the
get
whole
the little
bag.
snack pack, so I know that I'm done after the snack pack is over.
Exactly. Unless you want another. No, just kidding.
I always recommend parents too to like whenever you say no to something, especially food, you should follow it with something you're saying yes to. So no, we're not having the cookies or the Cheez-Its or whatever right now, but you can have cucumbers. They're cut up, they're right there. If they don't want to eat them, you must not be that hungry. And then at least for the parents' point of view, like it's a peace of mind. Like I'm not starving my child, because parents always have this like nervousness of like, yeah, but he's constantly asking and I feel bad and guilty. Like, number one, is he growing well? You can relax. Number two, did you offer a different alternative that you won't feel bad that your kid is eating a ton of? And they still said no? They're fine. They just want to eat.
Yeah, the act of munching is powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Okay, what is your take on pouches? Are pouches bad? I get a lot of these questions, especially up to the toddler age, those fruit pouches, veggie pouches, kind of those quick and easy pureed stuff to give to kids.
Definitely don't want it to be the only thing they're eating. Like, you obviously want to introduce a variety of textures and different flavors and stuff, and those are like very standard flavors that it will taste exactly the same every time you eat it. On the go, like having them available, it's really convenient and it's really nice. I think also just like looking at the quality of the pouch and not getting one that's super sugary, or now they make ones with fruits and vegetables in them that are a little bit more balanced and proteins too.
Yeah, I just recommend using them on the go. Well, like your kid is going to be stuck in the car for 2 hours and you know that they're going to be hungry, or just in case, grab the pouches, but don't use them at home.
It should be like kind of a supplement or an add-on. but not at
Yeah,
regular.
For convenience. I think it should just be so the downside of it from a feeding therapist perspective is the fact that they're not learning to self-feed with utensils or their hands, and it's a very controlled way to get food into your mouth. So if they're in the infancy stage where they're learning to eat, like 6, 7, 8 months still, and most of what they're eating comes out of a pouch, it's going to delay their development in learning other eating skills. They're not seeing what the food looks like. It's just covered up in the pouch. They're not seeing the variety in the texture. They're not feeling variety of texture in their mouth. And then the more they have this, the more they will prefer it. So like with anything else, you have to vary it up from an early age to help them feel comfortable with always trying new things.
Like, most likely not going to taste like the actual food that's in there too, unfortunately. Like I've tried them before.
Really? Oh, wow. And it's like surprising. Like, oh,
it's so it's into one pouch that it kind of just tastes like a mixture, you know?
It tastes gross.
Yeah, like you put
I would not
food
eat
into a
this
blender. Yeah. No.
I mean, it's basically like having a smoothie,
Yeah.
but exactly the same over and over again with not different stuff. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I just like
smoothie does not sound good.
no. No, I just like to recommend, like, if you're going to the doctor's office or grandma's or in the car and you don't want to make a mess, use the pouches.
Okay, so to wrap things up, if there's like one thing that you would love parents to just take away about nutrition in general, I know that's really hard to distill it down to one thing, but what is like one thing you would be like, this is what I want you to think about, this is what I want you to know?
For me, it's always real food first. Like there's no shortcuts really. Like there is no way around spending the time to grocery shop and cook and make a real meal. Like the benefits of that far outweigh the sacrifices with time. And parents always come to me asking like, is there like some quick recipe and some quick like shortcuts and whatever? I'm like, no, it's gonna take time. But it's valuable more than just what the food brings. It's more valuable than just the food, I promise you. And how the family meals result in connection between y'all's relationships and like individuals, like how it results in more like just slowing down and taking time as a family. It's not just about the nutritional aspect of how real food is healthier than ultra processed, but in just how it changes and benefits the dynamic in the entire family. It is worth it. The sacrifice you're going to have to make in y'all's schedules, like maybe we don't sign them up for 3 sports this year and we're just doing 1. It's worth it because you're only going to have your kids with you for so many years. And you also don't want to be dealing with, like a 16-year-old who wants to eat by himself in his room while playing video games. And if you don't want that, you have to start today with taking the time to do real homemade family meals.
I think also like not getting discouraged. Each stage comes with new challenges, right? So like, like once you get through one hurdle, there's going to be another one. So, you can't just focus on like, you didn't eat this meal today. Like just keep moving forward. Try like as best as you can, keep following these techniques of just like encouraging and modeling and without pressure. And eventually you'll get to the good side and you'll have,
don't give up, be consistent, do it as a team.
I'll push through.
That's all awesome advice. Well, thank you guys so much for being here today. This is awesome. I feel like we learned a ton because again, we don't learn this in med school. And honestly, I feel like people think nutrition's like, it's like one textbook and then you get a degree. Like you guys learn so much and there's just so much in nutrition that, especially in pediatric nutrition, like once you're an adult, sure, it's like mostly set, but as a kid, it changes so much. So this is super awesome. So thank you guys for being here and for
thank you guys
all
for
the insight.
I picked up so many tidbits just from this recording that I feel like I'm gonna take when I start work very soon. So this was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I need to go cut up that cucumber in the back of my fridge because
right now. I'm like planning my snacks and stuff already next week too, so for my lunch break and stuff.
Yeah, this is for kids and for residents.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it can also apply to residents.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. The
Where
goldfish is strong.
Yeah, where can parents find you guys?
Right now, I think the main place is Instagram. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, Facebook. But yeah, we're just trying to get messages out there, mainly on social media, of little tidbits of helpful information that parents can implement and use for their families.
It's called the
We'll
Pediatric
send-
Dietitian.
We'll for sure tag you guys, and we'll send all the parents along your way to go and
Thank
give you a
you.
follow.
Thank you guys so much.
Amazing. Okay.
Thank
see
you
guys
guys.
next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.